Namo Buddhaya, and welcome to the Buddha Dharma TV Sunday program. I am Lisa Chu. Before we start, we have a very important announcement to make. Please note that starting from July 24th, our Chinese program will be telecast every Thursday at 8 a.m. in Toronto, Canada, 8 p.m. in Singapore and other regions. We will no longer telecast this Chinese program on Sundays. The final Sunday telecast will be on July 20th. We kindly invite all our viewers to tune in on Thursday nights from then on. Thank you very much for your attention. Today we will begin our program with a talk, a song, and a Dhammapada session. We will begin today's program with a Dharma talk, and today we have a forest monk, Venerable Ajahn Martin Piadamo. Ajahn Martin guides all his disciples in a very practical way. Here is Ajahn Piadamo to talk on important principles.
So, everybody here? No, Annette. Falling asleep. It's too hot. It's too hot, yeah. Wie was?
Sie hat eine ganze Gecko-Familie im Zwischendach und kriegt die nicht raus. Und die sind natürlich ziemlich laut.
Ja. Welcome. Ich habe auch eine.
Und Anna den Tram sogar fragte, ob sie in ihrer Kutis Geckos hat.
Ja, in jeder Kutti sind die Geckos. Und vor allem, wenn du Licht hast, ne, dann kommen sie raus. Ne, die wollen ja alle Insekten fressen, die vom Licht angezogen werden. So, how is it going with your practice? I'm trying to get calm. So, I just want short, a short talk, yeah. Remember, important things. The definition of avijja. It can help us in our practice. Wanting to know, but not being able to know in line with the truth. Wanting to understand, but not being able to understand in line with the truth. So whatever you do, whatever you try to figure out, is in line with avijja. So you're fooled by the kilesas. And the kilesas are very clever. I want to fight my ego. I mean, that's the kilesas fighting the kilesas. It's not the Dhamma. I want to fight this, yeah? I want to improve myself. And fight for this or fight for that. That is not the fight we are doing. Our fight is, when we do samatha, if we are not with the Buddha or not with the breath, that is the fight to go back to the breath and to go back to the Buddha and know what is going on. Not trying to understand why these things are happening, because that is the way of the kilesas who fool us. Please be clear about this. Every way, why is this happening, or why is that happening, or why is it now coming, why not, and what is the cause of this? No, we don't want to understand in line with avijja. We want to understand the truth. Yeah, we want to understand in line with the Dhamma. And how do we understand? By observing what is going on. The observing nature, the attention on something, yeah. I mean, whatever is happening, yeah. I mean, if anger comes up, we put our attention on the anger, yeah, and see what is anger, how does it feel like, and what came before the anger. We don't want to understand why this anger came, yeah, because that is fooling us, yeah. That is putting us in, in the way of avijja. But if we roll back, and understand what kind of stone fell into the pond to create the ripples of anger, then the heart understands. Yeah, but it understands in a very different way than our brain understands. The problem is that we are all our life we have been educated to understand the things, that we are doing, or why this is like this, or why it's like that. And that's why we have to reprogram ourselves to understand in a very different way, to let the heart see what is going on, because the heart is the only thing that understands. Yeah? I use always this example of, somebody has a hand on fire, somewhere on the oven, yeah, and it's very hot, it burns itself, but it constantly looks in the opposite direction. It never looks at what causes, the burning of the heart, and then it sees, in the opposite direction, it sees shadows, then it infers, yeah, that, this is coming from this person, or that thing, or that, occurrence, or that happening, yeah, and that's how it fools itself. So that's why we direct our attention back to the heart, yeah. So put in the example, put our attention to the hand that is on fire, yeah, from the opposite direction, where we see all these shadows and happenings, yeah, in the opposite direction towards our heart, where we see that the hand is on fire, and then we don't have to tell the hand to move off the oven, yeah. The heart will do that instantly, yeah. We don't even have to tell it, yeah. But what we have to do is we have to look in the right direction, yeah? And we have to look, and we have to look by rolling back what came before, what kind of stone, fell into the pond that create these waves or these ripples, of lust or greed or hatred or whatever, yeah? We don't want to interfere. We don't want to infer, what is happening. We don't want to understand in our usual way what is happening. We want to see with our inner eyes what is happening. This is the basic, please, yeah? Take that, what I've just said, very seriously. So, remember avijja. Avijja is the source, is the mastermind behind all the kilesas. It's not the kilesas. Avijja is not the kilesas, it directs the kilesas. Yeah? Avijja is the mastermind. And the avijja has three armies, greed, hatred, and delusion. Yeah? And that it sends out to fool us. Yeah? And these constantly fool us. Yeah? So that's why we don't want to go in the way of, of the kilesas. Yeah? We want to go in the way of Dhamma. And that means, we know, trying to understand something is the way of avijja. Trying to know something is the way of avijja. Trying to observe something, to know within the heart, is the way of the Dhamma. Yeah? So we observe what is going on. That is, yeah, and let the heart see what it is doing. That's why I'm always saying, the daily reflection in the evening or in the late afternoon after you take your shower is the first step of investigation to know what we are doing, why we are doing, and what the results of our doing is. Yeah? So that means, for us, we wake up in the morning, yeah, And then we go and do walking meditation, sitting meditation, or go to the sala, and prepare the seats, or sweep the sala, and then we eat, and then after we know, we want to know what is happening, with what kind of thoughts do I run to the sala, or do I go to the sala, with what kind of foods do I eat, with what kind of thoughts do I eat, what is coming in my mind while I'm eating, but, and just to look, not to judge, what is happening, because judgment is always the way of the kilesas. This is good, this is bad, No, just see, just observe. That is the way of the Dhamma. To understand, to understand in the way of the heart, not to understand in the way, let me call it, understand in the way of the brain, or understand in the way of the kilesas. So, this daily reflection, okay, what kind of thoughts, came up, with what kind of thoughts or memories did I wake up, what kind of feelings were there, what did I do then, what kind of thoughts or feelings, okay, I did walking meditation. We don't have to go into the walking meditation or sitting meditation, but, we get a general idea, what was the problem, or why did we get up from the walking meditation or sitting meditation? Why did we stop, What was the thing that, pulled us out of meditation? And then we go to the next, the opportunity here is to learn this, because, we have very little to do. So it is very easy to go through the day, If you live in a late life, there's so many things are happening, that you have to recall or recollect, And this kind of recollection helps us, when we, for instance, want to investigate anger or lust or greed or whatever it is, We want to see, how does it feel like, how does it differentiate, how does the feeling of lust differentiate itself from the feeling of greed, or from of anger, And what came before this, What came, not only stop, at the first thing, okay, this memory, after that I got angry, No, what came before this memory? A thought, maybe a feeling, and then another thought, and then a feeling, until we see the stone, that created all these ripples, That is the way, of understanding. That is the way of developing wisdom. And if we do this daily reflection daily, and I say it so often, and whenever I ask the people, are you going to do your daily reflection? Why? Because the kilesas don't want to do it. They don't want to see what we are doing, why we are doing, and what the result. They just want to play around. That's why they don't like it. Because it sheds light on our activities. It sheds light, on what we are doing, and why we are doing, and what the results, And once the Dhamma sees, or once the heart sees that there are certain patterns of behavior that always lead to bad results, the heart will not be interested in doing it again, Even if we think, even if our mind or the kilesa, it's nice, to do this. But the heart says, no interest anymore, That is the way, That is the way of the heart to let go, And remember, not only remember, the definition of avijja, the moment you try to understand things or you want to know something, that is the way of the kilesas, but also understand, the very, very simple procedure. If I'm with my Buddha, if I'm with my breath, then I'm on the right path. The moment I think about the breath or think about the Buddha, then I'm already off the path. And the same thing holds true for the investigation, for vipassana. Am I with the object of investigation, be it the body, be it a part of the body, be it a feeling? Am I with, for instance, am I with the pain, then it's okay. Then I'm on the right path, And then for investigation, am I asking the right question? Not why is this pain now appearing? That's not the right question. What is pain? Where is the pain located? Where is it, I mean, if it is in the flesh or if it is tendons, if that is what the kilesas tell you, I mean, you have flesh and tendons and muscles, and skin, and bones. Since you were born, you're not always in pain. And also, understand, I mean, when you get up from your seat, and there's no more pain, I mean, where actually was the pain? If you cut your finger or if you cut your hand, or if you break your leg, there's pain always, no matter if you stand or sit or walk, there's always this pain, yeah? So, to understand it, as long as I'm with my object of investigation, I'm on the right path. The moment I think about this, I'm not on the right path. The moment I ask the right questions about the object that I'm observing, I'm on the right path. As long as I'm with the Buddha or with the breath, I'm on the right path. If I think about the Buddha or breath, or I think about, why doesn't it work today? I mean, why is my meditation so bad? I mean, then I'm off my path. That is very simple, and I mean, it is so simple, we can remember that, and that is an excellent guidance to our practice. And if we follow this guidance, I mean, our practice should really take off. Yeah. I hope you understand that. Yeah. Take these, take these advices, put it in your practice, and your practice should really prosper. Yeah. Understand? So, if you have any questions about the practice, I mean, there are 2 times you can ask me, yeah? I mean, if I'm around, you can ask me in the morning, yeah? After the meal, if you have questions about the practice, yeah? You're welcome. Or in the afternoon, if you let the Praveen know, that you want to have a conversation with me. Then I'm willing to, willing to listen to the questions and answer them. Or, here in this, in this environment, if you don't want to ask the questions, with all the people around, that is fine. Yeah, then come and see me. Yeah, in the morning, or in the afternoon. Yeah. So if you have any general questions about meditations, you can ask them now. Yeah. Otherwise, I leave you to your practice. Yeah. And please, implement this. Implement this. It could be so helpful. Yeah. Am I with my Buddha? Am I with my breath? Yeah, no, okay, that's the right thing. Am I with my object of investigation? Am I asking the right question? Then I'm on the path, yeah? I'm on the right path, to deliverance, yeah? Sooner or later, I will reach it, yeah? We don't have to think about how can I fight my ego, yeah? No, it's stupid. It's the kilesas fighting the kilesas and making us believe, we are doing so. No. In the background, Avicii, has its big smile, and laughs, how stupid are the people, yeah? Sorry, yeah. And it happens to everyone, it happens to me, I mean, and, I went through all these things, that's why I'm teaching you these things, yeah? These are tricks, I mean, that where you can hold on. I mean, if somebody would have told me some of these tricks, some of the tricks, I mean, Lungta Mahabo was telling me, but other tricks, I had to find out through the hard way, yeah? I mean, somebody, would have told me these tricks in the beginning, it would have been so much easier. Yeah? I spent so much time, trying to understand, why these things are going, yeah? Until I got the message, I mean, the way to overcome, dukkha, or towards the end of dukkha is sila, samadhi, and panya. And sila is, sila is okay, samadhi is samadhi, the ability to concentrate, and panya is the investigation, yeah. And we start with the investigation, yeah, that starts with the daily reflection. Please don't forget it. I mean, it's absolutely helpful, yeah. And it's of utmost value. Yeah? And if you don't do it, then the kilesas don't like to see what they are doing. They just want to play around. Okay? Understand? Questions? Alilin, Fang? No questions? hot. What is hot? Huh? If I have to work, then of course the heat, disturbs me. But when I sit in meditation, I can sit in meditation and it is really hot, and and after my meditation I'm completely wet. I don't care. Yeah? But of course if I have to do something, then the heat also bothers me. Yeah? But if I sit in meditation or do walking meditation, the heat or the cold doesn't really bother me. Yeah? It is a phenomena, that it is, then I investigate what is heat, and then I see, okay, yeah, the heat is not within the body, the heat is outside of the body, it touches the skin, yeah, and that's it, yeah, but it doesn't change the inner temperature, yeah. It's the same with the cold, yeah. The cold is outside, the skin is the receiver of the cold, or is the receiver of the heat, and that's it, yeah. So for meditation, there is no problem at all, yeah? But of course, if I have to work, if I have to think about something, then of course it bothers me, both, the cold or the heat, yeah? But meditation, it never bothered me, yeah? Often, very often, when especially now at this time, I said in meditation, when I came out of meditation, I was completely soaked, yeah? And then you just take a shower and then go to the next meditation. So what is the problem? Okay? No questions? Then go back to your practice, yeah? Understood? Yeah? Very simple. It's so absolutely simple, and we can check it every time. Yeah?
Our next item is a music to calm our mind. It could also be a method of concentration. Well, here it is for you to enjoy a bit of calmness through music. it's time for the weekly Dhammapada sermon, a collection of sayings of Buddha, which is one of the best-known Buddhist scriptures and most widely read. The Dhammapada 104 sermon will be presented by Venerable Professor Bhante Sivali.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good evening. Welcome to the Dhammapada program on Bdtv. Today we are going to discuss verse number 104. And that is chapter 8. And also, let me thank you for coming and be faithful and come always to listen to this Dhamma talk. Thank you. This 108 verse begins with a nice, as usual, verse. Atta have jitam seyo, yochayam itara paja, atta dantassa posassa nicchan sanyata charino. This is a beautiful verse, another beautiful verse. Always Dhammapada is full of wonderful, beautiful verses. That means self-conquest is greater than the conquest of others. The victory of one who conquers himself cannot be turned into defeat. He remains a self-controlled individual who lies ever disciplined. So this was a beautiful advice by the Buddha. On one occasion, a Brahmin by the name of Anatta Puchaka, a Brahmin, so-called high caste man, came to the Buddha. I'm not going always to talk about the history of these verses, but here it is very important, it is very much involved with the deep meaning of this verse. This Brahmin came to see the Buddha and said to him, said to him, Venerable, I think that you know only the practices that are beneficial and not the practices that are not beneficial. His question is also very nice. Buddha answered that Buddha also knew the practices which were not beneficial and harmful. Then the Buddha enumerated 6 practices which cause dissipation of wealth. This is very important. Sleeping until the sun has risen. If you look at the world, I think half of the world is not African. Most of them are still in bed in sound sleep. That depends. Some work late nights, some whole night. So there are reasons. But in unusual circumstances, it's okay. But sleeping until the sun has risen, that's the first. And the second, habitual idleness. And third, cruelty. And indulgence in intoxicants which cause drunkenness and negligence. That is the number 4. And sauntering alone in the streets and unearthly hours. That's the 5th. And the 6th is sexual misconduct. Keep in mind, these are very important things. If you want to live a decent, nice life, a peaceful life, get rid of these bad habits. He quotes 6 bad habits. Let me repeat. Sleeping until the sun has risen, habitual idleness, cruelty, and indulgence in intoxicants, and sauntering alone in the streets at unearthly hours. And the 6th, sexual misconduct. For those who want to live a decent, peaceful, holy type life, please take these 6 into under good consideration. Avoid these things. When the Brahmin heard this, when Buddha said that he also knows bad things, because he said to Buddha, Brahmin said to Buddha, you only knows what is beneficial. And then to Buddha answered that he also knew the practices which are not beneficial and harmful. So these 6 is good to take into consideration for one's success and to have a decent, beautiful, peaceful life. When the Brahmins heard this, when Buddha explained 6 things, he applauded the Buddha, saying, "Oh, well said, Lord Buddha, well said, teacher of the multitude, leader of the multitude. You know indeed both gain and loss." Now he comes out and try to speak what is in his mind. So indeed, Brahmin Buddha said, there is none other that knows loss so well as I do. The Buddha said, you see, you know indeed, there is none other that knows loss so well as I do. You see? Then the Buddha considered within himself what motives actuated the Brahmin and asked him, Brahmin, how do you make your living? Buddha also goes deep into, dig him out, he said. And how do you make your living? By gambling, Venerable? Gambling. But who wins, you or the other man? Sometimes I win, sometimes the other man wins. The Brahmin said. Then said the Buddha, Brahmin, a trifling matter is the victory of him who defeats another. There is no superior advantage in such a victory. No superior advantage in such a victory. But he who overcomes his depravities and so conquers himself is a better victory. For such a victory, no one can turn into defeat. So self-victory is a victory that nobody can turn into defeat. So he was so stunned by the answers of the Buddha. And then Buddha goes on, self-conquest is greater than the conquest of others. The victory of one who conquers himself cannot be turned into defeat. He remains a self-controlled individual who lives ever disciplined. So the self-control is very important, most important. Such conquest cannot be turned into defeat either by God. Then Buddha goes on, tell him, the man who believes, who puts everything in the hands of God, now Buddha goes on telling him, such conquest cannot be turned into defeat either by a God or a spirit, a Mara, a devil, or a Brahma. Brahmins believe the world was created by the Brahma. So even Buddha says, even the Brahma cannot turn into a defeat, a self-victory of oneself. So these are very important, these things that Buddha explained him. What is the most important thing in the life? The man who gambles, he told what is the path to success, even in a daily life. And then he says, praises not the gambling winner, but the one who conquers himself, and encourages to get into self-conquer, and emphasizes the importance of self-conquest. The person who has conquered his own self. In Buddhist thought, Atta, soul or self, is mentioned at times for the conventional purpose, because in Buddha Dhamma's teaching there is no Atta or self or soul. But for conventional purpose, for identifying a person, but the concept of no soul or selflessness, anatta, is a central principle of Buddhist thought. Apart from mind and matter, which constitute this so-called being, Buddhism does not assert the existence of an immortal soul or an eternal ego, which man has obtained in a mysterious way from an equally mysterious source. Mysterious thing in a mysterious way. A soul which is eternal must necessarily remain always the same without any change. Whatever, it must remain without any change. If the soul which is supposed to be the essence of man is eternal, it's eternal, there could be neither a rise nor a fall. Neither rise nor a fall. You got it? Nor could one explain why different souls are so variously constituted at the outset to justify the existence of endless felicity in an eternal heaven, an unending torment, in an eternal hell. It is absolutely necessary to postulate an immortal soul. Immortal soul. It should be said. I remember that a philosopher said, if I remember it well, it should be said that the old distinction between the soul and body has evaporated quite as much, because matter has lost its solidity, as because mind has lost its spirituality. Psychology is just beginning to be scientific. In the present state of psychology, belief in immortality can at any rate claim no support from science. No scientific proof, therefore there is no support from science to believe in immortality. Everything is impermanent. Nothing is permanent. This is the eternal truth. So this is what, in a nutshell, the verses number 104 and 105 says. Self-conquest is the best, is eternal. Others, impermanent, sinful. Therefore, try to conquer yourself rather than conquering the world and others. Self-control is the greatest control. Not even the Creator, Brahma. Nobody else can defeat, because one who has self-control, conquest, is the greatest winner. Nobody can steal his conquest. The greatest conquest is therefore is the self-conquest. He will be eternally happy. So if you want to know how to conquer yourself, come and see the Buddha's teaching. That is the teaching meant for today and tomorrow. And his teaching is eternal, because it is forever eternal truth. May you all be well and happy.
That concludes today's program. If you have any questions about the contents of our broadcast, please feel free to reach out to us at info@bdtv.com. Our dedicated team remains committed to sharing the profound teachings of the Buddha, helping you walk the path of wisdom and enlightenment. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again next week at the same time. Namo Buddhaya.